Hello, welcome to Tinfoil Hat News. There is no cussing, there is no cursing, and as always, this video is not for kids. So, we are seeing what's going on in Arizona. Already proven documentation that machines went down. Testimonies are going on about the machines and the situation with the ballots. Questions were raised. How did the guy know that there was 290,000 mail-in ballots when they said they haven't even counted it yet? Even more questions are being asked. Now, everyone's all telling me, oh, those Arizonans are going to start crying because they know, like, yeah, if you've never been to Arizona or you don't live in Arizona, understand that it is easy to get a gun in Arizona if you're a law-abiding citizen. And fallacy number one, even though the people are wearing body armor, you can't really intimidate Arizona wearing body armor because anyone knows who's been shot wearing body armor, bullets still hurt. And if the person's a good aim, they're basically going to get their brains blown out. So, fallacy number one, there is no voter intimidation in Arizona. People carry guns. Fallacy number two, Katie Hobbs is not favored in Arizona. She didn't go on to do the vote thing. She didn't really go out and reach out to the public. So that's a very big issue. Fallacy number three, Arizonans are going to be crying about this. Yeah, Arizonans don't need to cry. They're one of those states where the government is for the people, and they'll remind the government real quick. So, outside of those things, testimony keeps going on. Carr Lake has gotten lawyers and is now getting up there. The entire state of Arizona decided not to certify. Now, Maricopa is trying to certify. However, it now faces legal challenges. Most of the state of Arizona didn't certify. There was at least a total of 60 voting machine tabulator machines that went down. Reports of other stuff came up. Now, 2020, it was one thing. 2022, a problem just happens to occur again in Arizona. Probably a dumb thing. Now, I know what you're going to say. What about the extreme leftists coming into Arizona? And I'm going to say, again, the people of Arizona are armed. Antifa and BLM don't got no foothold, and they won't last 2 seconds. Them people have been waiting to fight for years. This is Arizona. They don't care. They love them they love the guns, and they miss the cheap gas. And this administration screwed them over on cheap gas. So, as long as we're getting these things straight, let's get that going. And other unrelated news, Justin Trudeau basically testified before the Canadian Superior Court. In a statement, he said he was advised by current President Joe Biden to do something about the truckers' convoy. Now questions come about, like I've asked questions. Why was the U.S. meddling in Haitian affairs where the Haitian people were rising up to defend themselves and actually create their own government? And why is the U.S. meddling in Canadian affairs? It's almost like they really want this to happen and not understand that there will be repercussions for this. But I digress. We, the Americans, can still keep fighting back voting. I can't say much for California because California has some very interesting issues with the voting system. Most blue states currently do because they go by, it's not how many votes are counted, it's who counts the votes. And when you have a state that doesn't verify its voter registries, you have a problem. I can easily go up to a voting machine. I can go up to a voting place and they just ask me for my name and to verify my address. I could come up with a list of different people, come to that same place, and guess what? I'm voting. That is how bad it is. That is unsecure. If they would ask you for your driver's license and something like that, that's fine. Now, fallacy number one on voter ID is that, it's impossible for people of color to get a voting ID. And the reason that is a fallacy is because a person of color without an ID can't get anything. You can't do anything without a driver's license. You can't do anything without a state ID. So, if anyone says that voting ID laws are racist, obviously doesn't understand that this is the 21st century, and anyone who is a law-abiding citizen or even a felon can get an ID. You have to have it to drive, to buy, to purchase. You gotta have an ID. That's required. And to anyone who is fallacy number 2, when it comes to voting IDs, it doesn't affect people of color. It affects people who aren't citizens, who should not be voting in local, state, or federal elections. If you're not a citizen and you're voting in an American election, you're committing a felony. It is illegal. It is not right. Fallacy number 3. Voter IDs are racist. When in fact, Georgia, which Atlanta is heavily black, they voted for voter ID. They didn't want somebody outside of Georgia coming in trying to steal their election. So these fallacies that have been brought up and these things are being talked about are getting out there more and more. As I speak now, I put this video on this mode because, like I said, this isn't me being a jerk. This isn't me asking anyone to commit any violence or do anything like that. And YouTube's guidance and guidelines may not be within Section 230. They're recently facing lawsuits in courts. Montana is filing one. There's people coming down to California that are filing in California court against them to remove their Section 230. Because in order to remain a Section 230, they have to allow for speech to continue. However, if they start over-censoring speech or start controlling speech, they now go from a platform of Section 230 to a publisher. And because of that, Section 230 won't be applying. And they could face many crimes. So outside of that, newer platforms have been kicking up. So we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff. And come December time, I think December 12th, when December 12th comes around, remember, Tesla will be selling his phones this year for Christmas. So the hottest gizmo and toy to get in town, get a Tesla phone. Google will not try to get rid of Twitter because they're going to look at Apple and be like, you guys just lost business to Tesla. And the thing is, Google doesn't want to lose business because Tesla phones are going to be very much sought after. People are going to want a Tesla phone. They're going to love a Tesla phone. They're highly encrypted. They're highly protective. And let me tell you, those Tesla phones are going to be hotter than Apple and Google. People will buy it out of spite. Cool thing is we'll have tower and satellite signal. So major carriers are going to stock up on them, and Tesla phones are going to get sold out. So I don't know what's going to happen to Apple, but it may not go so well. So I hope Apple is smart to not get rid of Twitter and to understand that it has to be done. What Elon's done is he's prevented violence towards conservatives, which concurrently has been occurring more and more. And when Hillary Clinton tried to do the whole thing with Paul Pelosi, Elon, in a joking way, came out and said something. Well, turns out he was very close to the truth. And we're now beginning to find out that this guy was crazy. The glass window was smashed with the glass on the outside. We've seen video of it. Now we're learning more. And now the Pelosi family is trying to keep it quiet. The years of them using a tragedy to their benefit doesn't even work. It's so bad that they keep forgetting. For example, Lori Lightfoot talked about the shooting in Colorado. But somebody brought it to attention. What about the 5 massive shootings that happened this year in Chicago during vacation, where I believe 30 people were shot at, 20 injured, 6 people dead? And that's just a daily occurrence in Chicago. So, to anyone who tells me, school shootings, I'm going to give you the numbers from Chicago and point out, hey, gang violence counts as mass shooting because the definition is 3 or more people dead. And if the freaking media doesn't tell you, don't trust them. You need to know, homicide is up in major cities that are gun-free. It's not up in areas where people legally carry because the criminals know they value the stuff more than your life. Don't give up your stuff. Fight back. Seattle, or I should say in Fort Worth, Washington, people are grabbing their guns. They're fighting back because the cops can't do anything, and people are shooting at these criminals. and they're standing up for themselves. Arizona doesn't have a high crime rate because people carry guns and they fight back. So we will see some interesting details. Everything shall come out nice, and just hold faith and watch the hilarity ensue. Today, if you're a celebrity and you try to go against Elon Musk with some stupid thing like Alyssa Milano, please know your history about what Nazis are. Nazis stand for Nationalist Socialist. And anyone who wears a hammer sickle might as well just wear a swastika. It's the same thing. That's it for the Tinfoil Hat News. Have a good day. Be kind, be nice, and do good for your community. Don't commit a crime, don't dox anyone, and be good to each other. That is my video for today.